Metroid Prime 3, another game where you murder aliens.
That's the Metroid Prime trilogy for you, man. You know, you're taking out space pirates, taking out all those aliens, saving the universe type thing. That's just the name of the game.
Every game is about killing aliens, stopping them, villainizing them.
I mean, not all games. Look at even like Crazy Taxi. Like this game you don't play, like you don't verse aliens or anything. You're just in a taxi.
Not Space Channel 5 though, you do.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Bad example. But A Boy and His Blob, we just played that recently.
Which you also fight aliens in that one.
But you also are saving aliens, to be fair. It's not completely just destroy all aliens and that's it.
Sure, but the more I see how aliens are portrayed in games, the more I see how Earth views aliens.
And how is that?
About to get serious on you, you ready?
Yeah, I'm all ears.
On back of the backlog, been gone for way too long. On back of the backlog, got so many games to play, dog. On back of the backlog, Donkey Kong expands my dog. On back of the backlog, me and Carlo been fucking since dawn. On back of the backlog, did you know that Carlo wears thongs? On back of the backlog, I really fucking hate this song. Yeah.
What is up, guys? It is Robert of Gaming with me, and welcome to Back of the Backlog, the series where we take a look at the games that I recently beat off my backlog. Today's episode is on the game Metroid Prime 3 Corruption on the Metroid Prime trilogy. Last season we played through Metroid Prime 2 Echoes and it was fantastic. With both Metroid Prime 1 and 2 finished, only one more remained of this trilogy. So I'm very happy to say that I actually finished the entire Metroid Prime trilogy. In terms of anything new from the Metroid franchise since the last time, well, there actually was a new game that was announced and released, being the long-awaited Metroid Dread on Nintendo Switch. In terms of Metroid Prime 4 though, well, we're still waiting to see anything of it. It's pretty crazy that I managed to finish the entire Metroid Prime trilogy in separate years, and we still haven't seen a single screenshot of Metroid Prime 4. I can't say I was quite expecting that. Metroid Prime 3 Corruption released on August 27th, 2007 in the US on the Wii. It was developed by Retro Studios and Nintendo and published by Nintendo. That means I finally wrapped up the trilogy 14 years later. With Metroid Prime 1 and 2 both being fantastic games, Metroid Prime 3 Corruption had a lot to live up to. Well, did it? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the story first. Samus and a bunch of other bounty hunters were tasked to help out the Galactic Federation from space pirates attacking the planet of Norion. Eventually, Samus and the others run into Dark Samus and are attacked. Dark Samus takes control of the space pirates and starts to spread Phazon across the universe. Samus and the bounty hunters are infected with Phazon, which is both a good and bad thing. Good because it gave Samus new abilities to use, but bad because too much Phazon can kill you. So the task is to truly stop the spread of Phazon and take out Dark Samus once and for all. The first thing I noticed when I started booting up this game was just how excited I was getting to actually finally play this game. I absolutely had a blast with Prime 1 and 2, so to be back in this universe and the masterclass of atmosphere Retro Studios created was super damn exciting to me. The most surprising thing I noticed early on was how much voice acting there was in this game. There were a ton of NPCs you run into that talk, say things to you, which I was just not expecting in the slightest, but honestly I really love that aspect. Not every Metroid title has to have a lot of voice acting or something, but Corruption actually really truly benefits from this. Visually, this game looks stunning. It's easily one of the best looking games on the Wii with its beautifully crafted environments. Speaking of environments, one of the biggest changes in this game is how you'll be traveling to several planets instead of just exploring one. Essentially, it's like splitting up the areas in the first two Prime games into their own planet. So while it is more for an aesthetic change, it does feel more grand. Having to go in Samus's ship and actually fly to a different planet, it is generally pretty damn cool.
It's more realistic, going to different planets, like my planet, your planet.
Are you going to be bringing up your planet a lot today?
Yes, I have a lot of experience with outer space.
Oh, that's great.
Glad you're excited.
Anyway, each planet has its own unique theme and definitely feels different from one another, and there isn't one area of the solar system that I didn't have fun exploring or seeing what is out there. And each planet will have its own unique separate sections that you'll travel to in different ways, further expanding the size of each planet. Both Metroid Prime and Metroid Prime 2 Echoes were originally released on the Nintendo GameCube. Metroid Prime 3 Corruption, having launched on the Wii, took advantage of the new Wiimote and Nunchuck, which, by the way, is one of my favorite controller setups by far, period. Since I played these three games in the Metroid Prime Trilogy package, I had the aiming experience for all three, but I still have to give massive praise to the controls and specifically the aiming. Aiming with the Wiimote is so fluid and natural because it is literally wherever you are pointing. I wish every console had its own Wiimote and had the option to play first-person shooter games like this because it is truly revolutionary. And also, options are a good thing. In Corruption, they also use the Wiimote to open certain doors, like pulling out a lever, twisting it, and pushing it back in, or like how one enemy has a shield, so with a nunchuck you can flick it back to destroy the shield and make him vulnerable. It's nothing super major, but when things like this happen, it is super satisfying, and it's only really possible with the Wii Remote and nunchuck. Yes, you could replace certain things with a press of a button, but combining all the usage of the controller makes it a lot more immersive. It's what VR is doing nowadays, and if you know me, I love VR. Compared to the last two entries, Corruption feels a lot more action focused, with objectives like removing turrets to destroy a barrier to even one of the core components of the game being Hyper Mode. Hyper Mode is a state Samus could go in using Phazon to enhance her power, but the catch is, in order to enter Hyper Mode, you have to use one of your energy tanks, essentially killing you in the process. So while it's great fun to use, it's better when used sparingly, as you'll die if you use too much without thought, especially in the early hours of the journey. Combat in general is fast paced, and I feel like the enemies are faster since you have a lot more control with the aiming compared to using only an analog stick. Boss battles are great in this game, with one of my favorites being early on with the epic Meta Ridley fight. You are flying down this giant cylinder area versing Meta Ridley, seeing the meters quickly go down as a rush, having to take out Meta Ridley as quickly as possible. At some points he grabs you, at some points he's far away, but the whole time is epic as hell. Then there's the boss fights against the other bounty hunters who are under control of Dark Samus. Rundas is all about shooting ice, but you gotta confuse him and rip off his shields to get him vulnerable. When he is defeated, he ends up getting impaled by his own icicles, and Dark Samus appears absorbing his remains. It's pretty fucking dark, considering those bounty hunters are the good guys, but one by one, they were killed right in front of Samus's eyes. As with any Metroid game, it's all about progressing through certain areas and getting upgrades to backtrack to areas that were previously inaccessible. As always, this feels great and rewarding. Getting that upgrade and being able to open some doors and finally exploring that area is always a good feeling. There are a bunch of upgrades, some old, some new. Even Samus's ship gets upgrades. You don't use the upgrades often, but you'll be able to use some missiles in certain areas with the ship for some heavy firepower. As for Samus, there's always a variety of them, with some changing the way you traverse, like the spider ball and being able to attach yourself to walls, going up places you couldn't do before. There were a few times in this game that I was stuck, but with these types of games, it does happen. It's just going to happen. But, once I understood what I was doing, where I was going, it became smooth sailing again. Probably my favorite location in the game is Skytown. It's a large area in the sky, connected by rails that you ride, taking out any enemies in the path. It's just a beautiful and unique looking location with everything floating in the air. It's also the first time running into Metroids. It's a section with tight corridors that has you fighting for your life. They aren't tough, but it does set up an unsettling atmosphere. Then there's the pirate Homeworld, which is great with atmosphere, and closer towards the end of the game, so you'll be using all sorts of mechanics to open up different sections of this location. The end of this section becomes a full-on action game, having to protect troopers from getting killed, and it does get quite hectic with the amount of enemies they throw at you. It's manageable, but it's definitely different from the usual amount.
I couldn't pass this part as I felt bad for the aliens.
You don't feel bad for the humans that died because of you.
I'm a little biased. I felt no reason to kill them.
Well, there's one good reason. It's the only way to beat the fucking game.
Not good enough.
One thing you'll be finding along your journey are energy cells. Energy cells will be the things you gotta collect in order to finish the game. You need like 5 out of 9 to place in specific areas on this abandoned ship in order to get to this specific alien code that will help Samus out. Problem is, if you put energy cells in different locations, you may end up prolonging your journey for no real reason. So I personally made sure to know where the alien code was because I didn't really want to look for more energy cells. They did nothing for me, so I was kind of surprised to find out that they were important and potentially a fetch quest if I wasn't careful. I'm now going to talk about the final boss of the game just to let you know. Dark Samus was traced to the planet of Phazon, but that planet was so incredibly far away that the Federation and Samus would have to take control of a Leviathan battleship and warp to Phazon. With the alien code you found earlier, access to the battleship was granted and the planet of Phazon was upon us. While on Phazon, Samus's Phazon corruption level forces her to permanently stay in hyper mode. Your health is entirely replaced with a single bar, and depending on how many energy tanks you collected along your journey is how big the bar will be. Mine was about 70%, and I gotta say, I feel bad for people who found less than half. I mean, that's gotta make it a lot tougher. Just by being in this world, the bar starts to fill up. If filled up all the way, Samus dies. The bar will also fill up when damage is taken, and the only way to get rid of the yellow fill up is by essentially collecting health by taking out enemies. Shooting a heavy amount seemed to at least slow down the progress too. Admittedly, I wasn't in love with this world for this reason. Having to essentially play tug of war with my health made me feel like I had to bum rush through it, since every second not gaining back my health was technically a bad thing. It definitely creates a more intense tone compared to the rest of the game that I enjoyed, but the execution made me not want to stop moving at all, which I suppose they were going for. Then finally at one point you come face to face with Dark Samus, the battle to end it all. Even during this battle, the bar is still filling up constantly. Dark Samus is fast, but since you were always in hyper mode, I was able to take down Dark Samus's health really damn fast. Dark Samus has the ability to clone itself, but that didn't really do too much. I just kept shooting and shooting and shooting. That health bar went fast. If anything, a little too fast, I thought. Then, Dark Samus is defeated. And, yeah, I expected that. I didn't expect whatever this literal thing is, but I expected another round at Dark Samus. So now Dark Samus takes control of this giant thing called Aurora Unit. This massive robotic-like creature whose face exposes tentacles you gotta shoot, eventually causing it to be stunned on the ground. Ripping off some of its armor exposes what looks like a brain, and from there, you shoot that shit until it dies. It's an intense battle as you aren't getting health back as often, so your yellow bar is consistently near the middle of your health. It even eventually adds new moves like Dark Samus cloning itself and shooting at you, lasering you, or throwing out some red fireball type stuff. Things can get messy fast if you aren't careful, and the lower the health is, the quicker these tentacles leave. It's intense. Finally, I managed to take out the Aurora unit, and, is that a third phase? Yeah, just when you think you are done, the head of the Aurora unit floats high above, ready to fight one last time. This part is intense, for the simple fact that dying now would be so brutal having to repeat all of that. Luckily, I'd say it's easier than the last round, as you just have to constantly shoot the back of its head, but it moving away pretty fast and its stunned state being fairly short, it can make for a tense finale. My health was almost filled up towards the end, and even though I needed a slither of health to defeat it, I was nervous as hell. However, I did manage to stun it and quickly get behind, charge up my beam, and end that damn bastard's life. Aurora Unit 313 is defeated, and Dark Samus, struggling to survive, explodes. The Phazon and Samus is destroyed. The Federation warps out of the vicinity as the planet Phase explodes. The crisis is over. The universe is saved for another day. But the Admiral asked the question,
What about Samus?
With communication lost, it seems Samus fell the same fate as Phase. Until the airship blasts by and Samus gives the Admiral a thumbs up and sends a message saying mission complete. Samus being badass as always. Then the credits roll.
What mission did they accomplish? The slaughter of an alien race.
Holy shit, man, really?
I'm just being honest. The mission was murder.
Remind me to never play games that feature aliens with this guy, because whenever that happens, this happens.
You know that saying with aliens, we come in peace. That's the truth.
Okay, but that's not the case with Metroid Prime 3, that's it!
Fuck Samus Aran.
What the fuck? I really enjoyed those final bosses. That whole tug of war of health definitely fits in a boss battle like those. There's a secret cutscene if you get 100%, which honestly feels like a cutscene that should have been a part of the ending anyway. It's Samus sitting down, taking off her helmet, and just remembering her fellow bounty hunters. Considering what she saw and what they had to go through, it's quite a nice ending that most people won't see, which is unfortunate. Then as she flies away, there's a mysterious ship that follows behind in a sequel tease. A sequel that we are still waiting for today. That was Metroid Prime 3 Corruption. That just felt like a really well-made video game. It was a fantastic game that also happened to show what makes the Wii so special. I don't believe I've finished many gaming trilogies, but as of right now, Metroid Prime Trilogy is probably my favorite gaming trilogy so far. Hell, I'd say this is probably one of my favorite trilogies in general. Overall, I'm going to give Metroid Prime 3 Corruption a, yes, I am a Metroid fan. I think I told you the last 2 times though, out of 10. What an impressive game and set of games. The music, the environments, the atmosphere, the unique feel of these games is unlike anything I've ever played. I am very much looking forward to playing other games in the series that are not the Prime games. There'll all be episodes of Backlog one day. Metroid Prime 4. You have a lot to live up to. I am glad I'm not a Retro Studios employee because that is a massive task. But if any studio could pull it off to make another great game, it's them. Regardless, I'm so happy that I've been able to share my Metroid Prime Trilogy experience over the past couple of years with you. Thank you so much for watching. That'll be it for today. Share these videos around as these take so long to make. Have you played Metroid Prime 3 Corruption? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Let me know down in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time. Metroid Prime 3 Corruption was a fantastic finale, but it is officially out of the backlog.
Don't you think it would be a lot easier for aliens to come to this planet and be welcomed if they weren't viewed as such strange and evil things all the time?
Yeah, I get what you're saying, and I agree with you. If you showed someone as they're growing up only vicious dogs, that they only bite people and go crazy, yeah, they'll probably be scared of dogs when they grow up.
I guess I just want to be welcomed one day. And I feel like maybe to help out would be alien protagonists.
Thing is, when someone's in that mindset, someone's just in that mindset. You really can't mold them out of it. No amount of games or movies that have aliens as protagonists are gonna really change their mind. Once their mind's set, that mind is closed.
I'm just ready to see more of the world, journey around Earth.
Look, one day you are gonna go out in this world, normal, no mask, nothing, and people are gonna see you for you, and people are gonna be interested, they're gonna be scared, they're gonna be all sorts of emotions, but man, if they don't like you, fuck them, man. Maybe you actually do fuck them, I don't know, but like, one day, it'll be all good. Just not today.
And I suppose that the Metroid Prime games are pretty good.
Damn right they are. Look, one day we'll play a game where an alien destroys humans. That's on my list. But admittedly, that's not going to be for a while. Who knows how long. But when we get to it, I'm sure you'll be entertained just by the idea of that.
That does sound pretty funny.
Yeah, well, at least next month's game has nothing to do with aliens. But it's, maybe good. We'll see. It's actually this.